Hey there, amazing fans! Before we dive into today's drama, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world to us. Now, welcome to another relaxing moment with Sugar Stories. Grab a seat, sit back, relax, and let's journey into the story together. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor filled the dimly lit hospital room, marking each moment that Lena Blake clung to hope. 8-year-old Lena sat cross-legged on the edge of the sterile white bed, her small hands trembling as they brushed her younger brother Eli's damp curls from his pale forehead. His skin was so thin and cold that she imagined if she pressed her ear to his chest, she might hear the quiet whispers of his struggling heart. "I'll find a way to help you, Eli," she murmured, her voice a promise. "I swear I'll save you." Outside the window, twilight painted the sky with streaks of purple and gold, but the hospital room remained a gray island of loneliness. Lena's thoughts flickered to the life they had lost. A modest apartment filled with the scent of her father's cooking, the worn melody of lullabies sung before bed. Her father was gone now, taken by a car accident, and her mother, mysteriously absent for as long as Lena could remember, was a void in their lives. A gentle knock echoed from the door. Nurse Paula's round face appeared, wearing an expression of practiced compassion. "Sweetheart," she said softly, stepping closer, "I need to talk to you about Eli. The hospital is trying its best, but, without payment, we might not be able to continue his treatment." Lena's chest tightened. "But he needs this. He'll die if you stop." "I know, honey." Paula crouched to meet Lena's eyes. "Do you have any family who can help?" Lena bit her lip until it almost bled. "There's no one. It's just me and Eli now." Paula's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "We'll do our best, but be strong, okay?" That night, Lena curled up beside Eli's bed, her body trembling with exhaustion and fear. The machines beeped steadily, a fragile lifeline. In the pale moonlight, Lena whispered to her unconscious brother, her voice filled with a desperate resolve. "I'll find a way, Eli. I'll save you no matter what." The next morning, Lena's eyes fluttered open to the faint hum of the hospital corridor. The rhythmic beeps and hushed conversations painted the same weary picture, but today something stirred within her, a sliver of determination. She gently kissed Eli's forehead before slipping out of the room. As she wandered down the stark hallway, her soft, sweet voice hummed the lullaby her father used to sing. The melody, faint but clear, echoed off the walls like a forgotten memory. She wasn't aware anyone was listening, not until Mr. Joey, the hospital's janitor, paused his sweeping to listen. His wrinkled face broke into a warm smile. "That's quite a voice you've got there, young lady," he said, leaning on his broom. Startled, Lena's cheeks flushed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "Don't apologize," Joey said kindly. "It was beautiful. You ever think of singing for an audience?" Lena shook her head, her gaze dropping to her worn sneakers. "No one would want to hear me." "Well, I bet that's not true," Joey said, glancing around before leaning closer. "There's a talent show for kids happening next weekend. Big cash prize. Might be enough to help you and your brother." Lena's heart skipped a beat. "Really? How do I join?" Joey handed her a crumpled flyer from his back pocket. "Auditions are this Saturday. You've got a gift, girl. Don't waste it." She clutched the flyer to her chest, her eyes brimming with hope. That evening, as Eli slept, she whispered to him, "I'm going to enter the talent show, Eli. I'll win the prize and you'll get better. I promise." Every spare moment in the days that followed was spent in secret rehearsal. Lena found an empty stairwell, her clear voice ringing softly in the echoing space. Her song choice was simple yet haunting. A melody that felt familiar, comforting. A song her father had once sung and, unbeknownst to her, written by her long-lost mother. Finally, the day of the audition arrived. Lena stood backstage in the school auditorium, her knees trembling. The room buzzed with chatter, kids adjusting costumes, parents giving last-minute pep talks. Alone, in her patched sweater and scuffed shoes, Lena clutched the microphone, her hands slick with sweat. When her name was called, she stepped into the glaring spotlight. For a moment, the chatter hushed, and all she could hear was the thundering of her own heartbeat. Then she opened her mouth and sang. Her voice, though trembling at first, soon soared with a clarity that left the audience spellbound. The haunting melody filled the room, wrapping around every listener's heart like a gentle embrace. On the judges' panel, one woman sat frozen, her eyes widening with each note. Aurora Blake, renowned singer and talent show judge, felt a chill run down her spine. She gripped the table as Lena's voice struck a chord deep within her. "That melody, it's mine," she whispered, memories flooding back, of cradling a baby, singing that very song, and the agony of a family torn apart. As Lena finished, the room erupted into applause. Backstage, Joey caught her as she stumbled, breathless and flushed. "You did it, kid," he said, his voice thick with pride. Lena's heart soared with a spark of hope. "I'll win, Joey. I have to win. For Eli." Back in the judges' panel, Aurora couldn't tear her gaze away. "Who is she?" she demanded of her assistant. "Lena Blake," the assistant replied, glancing at the form. "From Springville." Aurora's hands trembled. But could it be? Her pulse quickened as she stared after the little girl who had unknowingly just changed everything. The auditorium was still buzzing with excitement when Lena stepped backstage, her small hands gripping the microphone like a lifeline. Joey's reassuring smile greeted her, but his words were drowned out by the pounding in her ears. She felt a strange warmth coursing through her, a mixture of terror and triumph. Meanwhile, at the judges' table, Aurora Blake sat motionless, her hands trembling slightly. She felt as though the entire auditorium had vanished, leaving only her and the ghostly melody echoing in her mind. That song. It wasn't just familiar, it was hers. Years ago, in the tender moments of motherhood, she had written it for the baby taken from her. "Who is she?" Aurora whispered again, her voice tighter this time. "Lena Blake," her assistant replied, handing over the contestant form. 8 years old, from Springville. Aurora's breath caught. The name confirmed what her heart had already suspected. But it couldn't be. Could it? Backstage, Lena leaned against the cool wall, her thoughts a chaotic swirl. "That song, it's like it's been with me forever," she murmured to herself. "Dad used to sing it when I was scared. I never knew where he learned it." Joey crouched beside her. "That song has power, Lena. I don't know where it came from, but I know it brought the room to silence. You've got something special, kid." Unbeknownst to Lena, Aurora's own memories clawed their way to the surface. The bitter custody battle, the night her ex-husband vanished with their daughter, the years of regret. Now, hearing that haunting melody sung by a little girl named Lena Blake, her instincts screamed the truth. Aurora's hands gripped the table edge. She couldn't let this end here. She had to find out more. The next day, Lena returned to the hospital, cradling her brother's frail hand. "I did it, Eli," she whispered. "I got through the audition. The judges clapped, and maybe, just maybe, we can win the prize." Eli's eyes fluttered open, barely able to focus. "I knew you'd do it, Lena," he rasped. She kissed his forehead. "Don't worry. I'll sing for you at the next round. I'll sing our song." In her private suite at a nearby hotel, Aurora paced the room. She pulled out her phone, her hands trembling as she dialed an old contact, a private investigator she had once trusted. "I need you to look into something," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "Find everything you can about a girl named Lena Blake. 8 years old. Springville. And hurry. I think she's my daughter." The next round of the competition loomed larger than life. Lena stood in the bustling hallway of the auditorium, clutching the talent show schedule and smoothing her patched sweater nervously. The air was thick with anticipation as kids practiced their routines, families clustered around, and judges prepared to take their seats. Aurora Blake sat at the judges' table, her polished facade concealing a tempest of emotions. She scanned the crowd, her heart thrumming with an unfamiliar blend of hope and dread. When her eyes finally landed on Lena, standing small but determined amid the chaos, her breath caught in her throat. "That's her," Aurora murmured to herself, her hand trembling as she traced the edge of her judging clipboard. The truth was crystallizing in her mind. Lena was her daughter, the child stolen from her so many years ago. But how could she approach this child now, in front of everyone? Would Lena even believe her? Backstage, Lena tried to calm her nerves. Joey appeared by her side, a reassuring presence. "You've got this, kiddo. Just sing from the heart, like you always do." Lena nodded, though her throat felt dry. She glanced at the crumpled photo she kept in her pocket, a worn snapshot of her father holding Eli as a baby. "I wish Dad were here," she whispered. On stage, the spotlight cast a glow over Lena as she stepped forward, microphone in hand. The room fell silent, anticipation crackling in the air. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and began to sing. Her voice, fragile yet resilient, carried through the auditorium. The song seemed to weave itself into every corner of the space, touching listeners' hearts. Aurora sat transfixed, her vision blurring with unshed tears. The haunting melody was unmistakable, pulling her back to a life she thought lost forever. As Lena finished, the audience erupted into applause. Aurora found herself standing, hands trembling, as the other judges looked at her in surprise. "Is everything all right, Ms. Blake?" one of them asked. Aurora swallowed hard, her voice breaking. "That little girl. I think she might be my daughter. I need to speak to her." The other judges exchanged glances, murmuring in confusion. Backstage, Lena stepped off stage, her heart still racing. She hadn't noticed the flurry of activity at the judges' table. She only knew that her song, the one her father had sung to her and that she now sang for Eli, had once again carried her through. Joey met her with a proud smile. "That was incredible, Lena. You've got the audience in the palm of your hand." At that moment, Aurora approached, her steps hesitant. "Lena," she said softly. Lena turned, puzzled by the elegant woman addressing her. "Yes." Aurora's voice wavered. I'm Aurora. She hesitated, words faltering. "I think I might be your mother." Lena froze, her eyes wide with shock. "What? That can't be. My mom, she's gone. She left us." Aurora's voice cracked. "I didn't leave you. You were taken from me. I've been searching for you for so long." Lena's heart raced, her mind whirling with disbelief. Before she could respond, a commotion from backstage interrupted them, and the next contestant was hurriedly called to the stage. Aurora's hand hovered over Lena's shoulder, but she withdrew it at the last moment. "We'll talk later. Please, just know that I'm here now." Lena stared after her, confusion and disbelief swirling in her chest. She clutched the photograph in her pocket tighter, her mind spinning. Could this be true? Could the woman who had just watched her sing with tears in her eyes really be the mother she thought she had lost forever? As the applause from the next act echoed around her, Lena felt the weight of a secret she wasn't sure she was ready to carry. The night after the performance felt longer than any Lena had ever known. As she lay awake on the hospital's tiny cot beside Eli's bed, the echo of Aurora's words haunted her. "I think I might be your mother." Could it really be true? Could the glamorous judge from the talent show be the mother she barely remembered, the mother Dad had once spoken of in hushed tones? Eli stirred slightly, his frail hand brushing hers. "Did you win, Lena?" he whispered weakly. "We're getting closer, Eli," she whispered back, her voice thick with emotion. "I sang and they loved it. I think we have a real chance. And there's something I have to tell you." She hesitated, her heart pounding. Could she burden him with this revelation? There was a woman, Eli. One of the judges. She thinks she might be our mom. Our real mom. Eli's eyes widened in his pale face. "Mom? But she's gone," Dad said. I know. But maybe Dad didn't tell us everything. Maybe he was just trying to protect us. I don't know what to believe." Joey appeared in the doorway, his usual mop forgotten in his hands. "Hey, kiddo. You all right?" Lena looked up, grateful for his comforting presence. "I'm scared, Joey. What if she really is my mom? Why didn't she come for us before?" Joey sat down beside her, his face kind and understanding. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, Lena. Big ones. But if she's here now, maybe it means she's trying to make things right." Lena sighed deeply, the weight of it all pressing down on her small shoulders. "I just don't know if I can trust her. I don't even remember her." As they spoke, Aurora sat alone in her hotel suite, staring at an old photograph she kept in her wallet. It was a picture of her as a young mother, cradling a baby with a smile of pure joy. "I'm sorry I wasn't there," she whispered to the image, her voice cracking. "I never stopped looking for you." Her phone buzzed. It was the private investigator. "I found something," he said. "Her name is Lena Blake. Her father, David Blake, disappeared with her after the custody battle. They lived in a small town, Springville. He passed away 2 years ago from a car accident. The boy, Eli, is her younger brother, and he's critically ill." Aurora's heart twisted painfully. "Thank you. Please keep digging. I need to know everything." The investigator hesitated. "There's one more thing. The hospital's threatening to stop treatment for Eli. They can't afford it." Aurora's resolve hardened. "No. Not if I can help it." Back in the hospital, Lena sat in the quiet, watching Eli sleep. She felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. But as she held his hand, she whispered to herself, "I'll sing again. I'll win. For Eli." Unbeknownst to her, across town, Aurora was making calls, pulling every string she could to secure Eli's treatment. She wouldn't lose her children again. Not this time. The air in the hospital was thick with tension. Lena sat by Eli's bedside, her fingers intertwined with his, watching his pale face and the rhythmic rise and fall of his chest. The beeping of the machines had become a cruel lullaby. The doctor's words from that morning echoed in her mind, words she couldn't unhear. "Without surgery, Eli won't survive." Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "I'll find a way, Eli," she whispered. "I promised you, remember? I'll save you." Meanwhile, Aurora stood in a corner of her hotel suite, phone pressed tightly to her ear. "I need that payment processed immediately," she said sharply. "Yes, the surgery for Eli Blake. I don't care what it costs, do it now." Her voice trembled with a mixture of fear and determination. The hospital's administrator hesitated on the other end of the line. "I'm sorry, Ms. Blake, but we can't accept anonymous payments. We need authorization from the family." Aurora's grip tightened. "Then get me in touch with the girl's guardian. Her name is Lena Blake. She's my daughter." Back at the hospital, Lena's quiet vigil was interrupted by the arrival of Joey, who held out a small envelope. "This came for you," he said softly. Lena opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a voucher for a free rehearsal session at a professional studio downtown, sponsored by the talent show. The opportunity to practice for the semifinals was a golden ticket. But how could she leave Eli now? "I have to win this," she murmured, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. "For Eli." Joey crouched down beside her. "I'll stay with him while you go. He'll be okay. He's a fighter, just like you." Across town, Aurora's investigator called back. "It's confirmed, Ms. Blake. Lena is your daughter. Her father took her and disappeared after the custody battle. The boy Eli is her half-brother. Their situation is dire." Aurora's knees buckled and she sank onto the couch. "I've lost so much time," she whispered. "I won't lose them again." At the hospital, Lena stood at Eli's bedside, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "I'll be back soon. I promise." With a heavy heart, she left, clutching the rehearsal voucher in her hand. Aurora, driven by a desperate mix of guilt and love, strode into the hospital's administrative office. "I'm Aurora Blake," she announced, "and I'm here to authorize the payment for Eli Blake's surgery. He's my son." The administrator looked up, startled. "You're his mother?" Aurora's eyes shimmered with tears. "Yes. I just found them, and I'm not letting them go again. Please, save my son." Meanwhile, at the rehearsal studio, Lena stood in front of the microphone, her voice trembling as she began to sing. Every note carried the weight of her love for Eli and her fear of losing him. The producer, listening in the control room, was visibly moved. As she finished, the studio erupted into applause from a few onlookers. Lena bowed her head, exhausted but determined. She knew that with each performance, she was getting closer to saving her brother. Back at the hospital, Aurora waited outside the surgery room, pacing anxiously. Finally, the doctor emerged, removing his mask. "The surgery was successful," he said. Eli's going to make it. Aurora's knees gave way, and she sank into a chair, sobbing with relief. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. At that same moment, Lena's phone buzzed with a message from Joey. Eli's surgery is done. He's going to be okay. Lena collapsed onto the studio floor, tears streaming down her face. He's going to be okay, she whispered, her heart finally daring to hope. The day of the semifinals arrived with a mix of excitement and dread for Lena. She had spent countless hours practicing her song, her heart pouring into every note, every word. But backstage at the venue, shadows of doubt began to creep in. The other contestants whispered and watched her with narrowed eyes. One particularly smug girl, Cassidy, sauntered over. Break a leg, she said with a smirk. Or maybe lose your voice. Lena's heart pounded. She tried to ignore it, focusing instead on her breathing exercises and humming her song under her breath. But when it was her turn to change into her costume, she discovered it missing. Panic seized her. Has anyone seen my dress? Lena called out, her voice trembling. Cassidy and her group giggled behind their hands. Maybe you just forgot where you put it, one of them sneered. Her hands shaking, Lena rushed to find an alternative but found her backup dress tangled and torn. Her voice cracked as she muttered, No, no, no. I can't let this happen. At that moment, a familiar figure strode into the chaos. Aurora, clad in a sleek coat, her eyes blazing with determination, swept through the backstage area. Is there a problem here? She demanded. The girls scattered, but not before Cassidy whispered, Who's she supposed to be? Your mom. Aurora turned sharply. Yes, I am. Lena's breath caught. Aurora gently placed her hands on Lena's shoulders. You're not alone, sweetheart. I've got you. She handed Lena a replacement costume, a shimmering blue gown that looked even more dazzling than the original. Lena's eyes filled with tears. But how? I had a feeling this might happen, Aurora whispered. You got this, Lena. Just sing from your heart. The stage manager called for Lena to be ready. She slipped into the new gown with Aurora's help, feeling her nerves slowly settle. As she stood in the wings, waiting for her name to be called, she looked back at Aurora, who gave her a nod of encouragement. Lena stepped onto the stage, her heart thundering. The lights were blinding, the crowd a blur of faces. But she focused on one thing, Eli. She imagined him healthy and smiling, and she let that love fuel her voice. Her song soared, each note clear and true. The audience was captivated, their eyes shining with emotion. Even Cassidy and the other girls stood in stunned silence. As the final note faded into the air, a beat of silence followed, and then the crowd erupted into applause. Lena's cheeks flushed with joy and relief. She had done it. Backstage, Aurora was waiting with open arms. Lena rushed to her, collapsing into her embrace. Thank you, she whispered. Aurora's voice was thick with emotion. No, thank you, for showing me what bravery looks like. As they embraced, Lena's phone buzzed with a message from Joey. Eli's surgery was a success. He's awake, asking for you. Lena gasped, her heart swelling. He's awake. He's awake. Aurora's smile trembled. Go to him. I'll handle everything here. Without hesitation, Lena grabbed her bag and ran from the venue, her heart light for the first time in what felt like forever. Lena arrived at the hospital breathless, her heart pounding as she raced through the corridors. She burst into Eli's room, where he lay propped up in bed, pale but awake. His small, trembling hand reached out, and Lena clasped it tightly. Eli, she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. You're awake. I missed you so much. Eli smiled faintly, his voice a rasp. You did it, Lena. You saved me. Before Lena could respond, Aurora appeared in the doorway, her expression cautious yet hopeful. She stepped into the room, her heels clicking softly on the tiled floor. Lena, she said, her voice trembling, we need to talk. Lena's chest tightened. She gently released Eli's hand and turned to face the woman who had stood by her side during the talent show, and who now claimed to be her mother. Why? Lena's voice cracked. Why did you leave us? Why did you leave Dad? Why didn't you come back for me? Aurora's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I didn't know where you were, sweetheart. Your father, he took you and disappeared. I searched for years, but I couldn't find you. I thought I'd lost you forever. And then, hearing your voice at the audition, it was like hearing my own heart calling me back. Lena shook her head, her emotions swirling. But you're famous. You have everything. Why would you care now? Aurora stepped closer, her voice breaking. Because nothing matters without you. I left everything behind the moment I found out. I'm here now, Lena. And I want to be part of your life again. Lena looked down, torn between the pain of abandonment and the longing for the mother she'd lost. Eli's frail voice cut through the silence. Lena, she's telling the truth. She wouldn't be here if she didn't care. Lena's lip quivered. She turned back to Aurora, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I can forgive you. It hurts too much. Aurora's tears finally spilled over. I understand, Lena. Oh wait. I'll prove to you that I'm not going anywhere this time. Lena felt the weight of the room pressing down on her. She bit her lip, her heart aching with the turmoil of betrayal and the flicker of hope. She glanced at Eli, whose hand trembled in hers, and realized how much she needed to be strong, for him and for herself. I need time, she whispered. Aurora nodded, her face crumpling with relief and sadness. I'll be here when you're ready. Lena turned back to Eli, her tears finally falling freely. In that moment, she realized that while the road ahead would be painful and uncertain, there was still hope, hope for healing, for family, and for a love that could mend even the deepest wounds. The auditorium was packed, the air humming with anticipation. Lena stood backstage, her heart thundering in her chest. She had made it this far, but the weight of everything, Eli's health, Aurora's revelation, the sabotage, pressed down on her shoulders. She clenched her fists, summoning the courage she needed. The announcer's voice echoed through the hall. And now, please welcome our next performer, Lena Blake. Lena stepped into the spotlight, momentarily blinded by the brilliance. She glanced at the audience, her eyes catching a glimpse of Aurora seated in the front row, her expression a mix of hope and love. Her gaze shifted to the camera crew, knowing that this performance would be broadcast live and shared online. The music began, the opening notes of Whispers of Home filling the space. Lena closed her eyes, letting the melody guide her. Her voice emerged, trembling at first, but growing stronger with each line. The lyrics spoke of longing, of love lost and found, of hope amid despair. As she sang, Lena's voice carried her emotions, her fear, her pain, her love for Eli, and the aching hole left by her mother's absence. Her voice wrapped around the audience like a warm embrace, drawing them into her story. Tears streamed down faces, and the room held its breath, captivated. In the wings, Aurora pressed a hand to her mouth, her eyes glistening. She whispered, "That's my song. My little girl is singing my song." The final note hung in the air, trembling with raw emotion. A beat of silence followed, then an explosion of applause and cheers. The crowd rose in a standing ovation, the sound reverberating through the hall. Lena bowed her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. She had done it. She had given everything she had, and it had reached the hearts of those who listened. Backstage, the talent show producers rushed to her side, offering congratulations and promises of viral clips. But Lena's thoughts were with Eli and Aurora. She wanted to share this moment with them. Aurora met her in the hallway, pulling her into a tight embrace. "You were magnificent," she whispered. "I've never been prouder of anyone in my life." Lena hesitated, her heart torn. "I'm still mad at you," she admitted softly. Aurora nodded, her voice breaking. "I know. And I'll wait for as long as it takes. Just know that I love you." Lena's eyes shimmered with unspoken words. She looked up at Aurora, feeling a fragile bridge begin to form between them. The audience, the judges, and the world watched as the clip of Lena's performance spread across social media. People from around the globe commented on the raw power of her voice, the haunting beauty of the song, and the story of a young girl singing her heart out to save her brother. News outlets picked up the story, headlines blaring, "Young girl's voice reunites family on live stage," and "A song of hope," talent show contestant moves millions. As Lena stepped into the warm embrace of her brother and the tentative arms of her mother, she realized that the true power of her song wasn't just in winning a competition, it was in healing hearts, hers included. Lena woke the next morning with a strange sense of calm. The chaos of the contest, the weight of her brother's health, and the tangled emotions surrounding her mother's reappearance had all seemed to fade for a moment into the background. But reality pressed back in as she sat up and glanced at her phone. There were countless messages and calls, from friends, from news outlets, from people she didn't even know, all touched by her performance. But one message stood out, Joey's text, reading, "Eli's awake and asking for you. Come soon." Lena bolted out of bed, her heart racing. She threw on clothes and rushed to the hospital, barely stopping to catch her breath. She burst into Eli's room, where he lay in his bed, pale but alert. His frail hand reached for her, and she took it, tears springing to her eyes. "Hey, little man," she whispered. "You scared me there." Eli's smile was weak, but it was real. "You won, didn't you?" Lena bit her lip, nodding. "Yeah. But not just for the contest. For you, for us." Before she could say more, Aurora appeared in the doorway, her face soft with emotion. She stepped into the room, her voice gentle. "Eli, sweetheart, I'm Aurora. I'm your mom's mom. Your grandmother." Eli blinked, his brow furrowing, then a spark of recognition appeared. "Really? You're?" Aurora nodded, kneeling beside him. "Yes. And I'm here to help you get better. I've made arrangements for the surgery you need." Lena's breath caught. "You did?" Aurora smiled faintly. "I promised you I'd do whatever it takes to keep you safe. The best doctors are ready. He's going to be okay." Overwhelmed, Lena hugged her mother tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." The surgery was scheduled for that very afternoon. Lena stayed by Eli's side, holding his hand as he was wheeled into the operating room. Aurora stood with her, her hand resting reassuringly on Lena's shoulder. "He's in good hands," she said softly. Hours later, the surgeon emerged from the operating room, removing his mask. "He's going to be just fine," he said with a smile. Lena's knees buckled with relief, and Aurora caught her before she could fall. They rushed into the recovery room as soon as they were allowed. Eli's eyes fluttered open, his voice hoarse but filled with relief. "Lena, Mom." Aurora's eyes brimmed with tears as she knelt by his bed. "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm here." Lena pressed her forehead to Eli's, her voice a broken whisper. "We're all together now. We're going to be okay." In that quiet hospital room, surrounded by the hum of monitors and the soft rustle of nurses' footsteps, a new beginning was unfolding. A beginning of healing, of family, and of love restored. The final night of the talent show had arrived. The grand auditorium was bathed in golden lights, the crowd buzzing with anticipation. Everyone was talking about Lena Blake, the girl with the voice that had touched the world. Cameras flashed, journalists whispered, and the air was thick with suspense. Backstage, Lena stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the simple yet elegant dress that shimmered softly under the stage lights. Aurora stood behind her, a proud yet nervous smile on her face. "Are you ready, sweetheart?" she asked softly. Lena nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. "I think so," she whispered. Aurora squeezed her shoulders gently. "Just remember, this is your story, your song. Sing it with everything you have." They stepped into the wings as the announcer's voice boomed through the hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, for the grand finale, please welcome back the sensational Lena Blake and a very special guest." The audience gasped as Aurora joined Lena on stage. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some recognized Aurora as one of the show's judges, but the emotional revelation that she was Lena's mother stunned everyone. The spotlight bathed them both as the opening notes of the duet filled the auditorium. Lena's voice started, clear and strong, weaving a story of love, loss, and the journey home. Aurora's voice joined, a perfect harmony that wrapped around Lena's, their tones blending in a breathtaking cascade of emotion. The lyrics spoke of a mother searching for her child and a daughter finding her way back. Every note echoed with sincerity, every line infused with raw emotion. The crowd sat spellbound, some wiping tears from their eyes. As the song reached its climax, Lena and Aurora faced each other, their hands clasped. The music swelled, and their voices soared together, filling every corner of the hall. The final note lingered in the air like a prayer. A stunned silence followed before the entire audience erupted into a standing ovation. Cheers, applause, and shouts of joy filled the auditorium. Camera flashes captured the moment, and phones recorded every second. The performance went viral within minutes, flooding social media with clips, reactions, and hashtags. Backstage, Lena collapsed into Aurora's arms, both of them laughing and crying. "I can't believe we did it," Lena said breathlessly. Aurora kissed her forehead. "You were amazing. This is just the beginning." Eli, now recovering well, watched from the front row with Joey by his side. His eyes sparkled with pride as he clapped along with the crowd. "That's my sister," he shouted. The news outlets buzzed with headlines like, "Mother and daughter reunite live on stage," and "Talent shows stunning family reunion breaks the internet." Fans and strangers alike were moved by the story of a family torn apart and brought back together by love and music. As the confetti rained down and the final applause echoed, Lena realized something profound. This was not just about winning a contest or going viral. It was about finding her voice, her family, and a sense of belonging she thought she had lost forever. After the talent show's grand finale, the world seemed to spin faster. News outlets clamored for interviews, social media exploded with their story, and Lena's face was everywhere. Yet amid the whirlwind of attention, Lena's heart was grounded in one simple truth: her family was whole again. A few weeks later, Lena, Aurora, and Eli stood together outside a modest but welcoming house with a bright red door. Aurora's fame had allowed her to find a new home where they could start fresh. The three of them stepped inside, the air filled with sunlight and the faint scent of fresh paint and flowers. Eli raced through the house, exploring every room. "We have a real home now," he shouted, his laughter echoing through the halls. Lena and Aurora shared a smile, a silent acknowledgement of the journey that had brought them to this point. Aurora reached out to brush a strand of hair from Lena's face. "This is where we begin again," she said softly. Lena hesitated, emotions welling up inside her. "I'm still a little scared," she admitted. Aurora nodded, pulling her into a hug. "Me too. But we'll figure it out, together." In the cozy kitchen, they unpacked boxes and started settling in. Lena found her father's old guitar among the belongings Aurora had salvaged, and she strummed a few notes. The familiar melody of "Whispers of Home" filled the room, and Eli joined in with his tiny voice, humming along. Aurora sat beside them, her voice blending with theirs, creating a tapestry of harmony and love. As they sang, the weight of past pain lifted, replaced by the warmth of new beginnings. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Later that night, Lena scrolled through messages on her phone. Thousands of comments from people all over the world poured in, messages of support, gratitude, and inspiration. One message stood out: "Thank you for showing us that love can heal anything." Eli climbed into her lap, his eyes heavy with sleep. "I love you, Lena," he murmured. "I love you too," she whispered back, holding him close. Aurora, sitting nearby, watched them with tears in her eyes. "I promise I'll never leave you again," she said. Lena nodded, a small smile curving her lips. "I believe you." As they sat together, the world outside continued to buzz about their story. But inside their new home, it was quiet, peaceful, and filled with hope. The final scene was not one of grand stages or viral clips, but of a family reunited, sharing a simple moment of love and music. The camera of life panned out from the sunlit kitchen, where Lena, Eli, and Aurora's voices intertwined in a gentle song. Their laughter and music floated into the evening sky, a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the enduring magic of family. And so, their story ended, just as it should have, with a new beginning.